Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Friday, January 3rd, 2014. Yesterday I had the date all wrong, but I'm getting used to saying 2014, okay? I am beginning today with a tweet from Zero Hedge. Foreign banks held $1.4 trillion of all Fed excess reserves. Will this number grow even more? And this link goes to the actual Federal Reserve Board website, which I am not going to interpret for you, but you can verify what Zero Hedge wrote for yourselves if you are so inclined. I found that rather, well, I can't say shocking because we can't even really be surprised by what these people do, but certainly disconcerting to know that openly the reserves of what is meant to be the central bank for the people of the United States are held in foreign banks. Of course, the Federal Reserve Board largely consists of people who are at the tops of foreign banks, but we won't even get into that today because it's Friday. Let's be happy, right? This is a Facebook post from Dr. Jim Garrow. People tried to kill him. So it's an interesting story, and some lines were cut on his vehicle, and he was invited to go somewhere. Once he successfully arrived there, having avoided a deadly car crash, he was set up. The guy he was meeting with was trying to frame him. So I guess this is a couple of things, couple of reasons why I mention this. One, it's good news in measure because evidently he is over the target. He is being effective in what he's doing, and someone wants to put a stop to what he's doing. Also, just as a caution, I don't think most of us are in a position that would warrant people actually trying to kill us, but I think that almost constantly we need to exercise our integrity and just be wary of what we say and to whom, and certainly, live by common law and do no harm, and don't agree to participate with anyone who is going to do harm. We can win this just through righteousness, and we'll achieve liberty and justice for all, not by means of violence and evil, but by means of love and prayer and attracting the favor of God, because it's ultimately God himself, I believe, who is going to insist on liberty and justice. Certainly he insists on justice in the big picture. We can count on that. I have a video from Yahoo News, Fast and Furious Gun Sting. This issue is getting stirred up again to some extent, and interestingly enough, if you have been following Ian Garland's story that I have followed over the last few years, and that Pearls of Liberty has followed over the last few years, of Ian Garland being set up, jailed for a long time without a trial, and finally being coerced into accepting a plea bargain. And now he's been released, but he's still struggling very much. He is being interviewed by various news outlets, which is exciting, because this story really needs to come out. And the Mexican Consul General also wants to interview him and find out what he knows. So certainly pray for Ian's safety in light of what has happened to Jim Garrow. certainly Ian knows a lot that is very damning to the system. So please do remember to pray for Ian. And also, he is in a halfway house now, really struggling financially and just in general. I mean, he's very happy, delighted to be out, very pleased to be able to share his story. But things are not easy. His life is not easy right now. And this website now has a donate button. This is not a tax-free donation. This is just the money goes directly into Ian's PayPal account. And any amount of money can help him. He's really just struggling to keep his cell phone going, and he has to take the bus to a library to use a computer. And as I said, he is struggling. And if you feel so moved, if you really want to see this story come out, please support him in prayer. And if you have a little money burning a hole in your pocket, maybe support him materially as well. Today I included this article from the Vatican Project, Beware a New Confidence Trick to Control the World, OPPT, One People's Public Trust. And I've stated my opinion about this group in the past, but I guess this is kind of a mea culpa, because at one time I was kind of advocating them. Certainly used to have a lot of articles up from American Kabuki and Removing the Shackles. I used to quote them a lot and consider them to be a sound source. Well, I no longer do, and I've shared an experience that Dutch since had, and just some other issues that have arisen that I just have not felt comfortable with them in quite some time. So this is just another mention that is a heads up. If you've kind of bought into them, you might just want to consider that again. I do want to state, though, we all need to be very, very cautious in believing different people who say this guy is false and that guy's false. I saw a website, another website that I have kind of trusted, not entirely. I think it was the Atlantean Conspiracy. I've quoted them before. I think they've had some good articles, but now they're saying that Alex Jones and David Icke are set up by the establishment. And I think we always need to be cautious and consider that different people might indeed be set up by the establishment to mislead us. But just, maybe have some kind of internal standard that you require of people when you're believing them or disbelieving them. Because if we write off some of the wrong people, we will find ourselves alone and bitter. And, some of these people who criticize guys like Alex Jones and David Icke, they do kind of seem like they're isolated and maybe jealous. Who knows? But certainly exercise caution, even pertaining to what Alex Jones or David Icke or anybody says. If I say something that sounds off the wall, we're accustomed to just listening and accepting whatever is put before us. Well, we can't. We have to question. So I appreciate this article from the Vatican Project. I don't agree with everything the Vatican Project writes, but this article I felt was helpful. Now here from a website called proliberty.com, an Idaho, I believe it was an Idaho newspaper, published some information here. April 2000 Idaho Observer. So this is not new news. But just in light of all the questions of who Obama really is, I want to be fair here and just float this out there that we don't really know who the Bushes are. And deathbed confessions photos support claims that George H. Scherf, not George H.W. Bush, Jr., was the 41st U.S. president. And there is some rather substantial evidence here. And the affiliation is with some pretty serious Nazis. And this is a photo who, and according to this information, this is who we know as George H.W. Bush, who is actually George H. Scherf Jr. And also in this photo is Joseph Mengele. So, you know, the whole Bush-Nazi connection has been pretty much accepted, but the roots may go even deeper than most of us have believed up till now. So I feel like this is important information, and I tend to believe it. And again, we just need to question everything. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can take for granted except God's love, and that change is the only constant. So, the old sign that used to be in some stores, in God we trust, all others pay cash. And people wouldn't take a person's check because they couldn't be sure that there was really money in the account. So that's a good saying for these times. And yesterday, Alex Jones had a guest who is a congressman who is asking people to make phone calls to their representatives to request that they support this House Resolution 428, expose Israel and Saudi Arabia for their involvement in the September 11th attacks. And what the House Resolution is requiring is that certain pages be made public that have been kept secret, and things that were found upon investigating 9/11, that this noble group of representatives is demanding that the American people be told the truth about what happened on 9/11 to the towers. So if you are so inclined, maybe give your representative a call, watch this video to learn a little more about it so you are well versed. Another article from the Vatican Project, and this is a few days old. This is from December 26th, but my husband tweeted it, and I hadn't been aware of it before. With Christmas, some things kind of went past without notice. Congress cites 9/11 Bush cover-up, demands Obama act. And this also is just a little more information on what is going on with HR 428 and just some of the backstory. So some good information here. And according to the Los Angeles Times, legal marijuana sales begin in Colorado, making history. So just a little mention there, a little nod to that. Now I want to shift into some health issues because there are a lot of articles really attracted my notice today having to do with health, and I'll probably move through these quickly. This is the website of Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, who was a guest on Alex Jones yesterday. It was a great interview. If you have children, if you have a deep interest in vaccines and vaccine dangers, you might want to listen to the interview with her from yesterday, as well as visit her website. But she just has tremendous information, and she's the whole package in learning about vaccines and actually just natural health in general. So great information here. And I could have saved this for the good news article of the day, but there's even more good news later on. So what do you think about that? From Natural News, chiropractic adjustments shown to reverse autism in 3-year-old girl. So if you know someone who is struggling with autism, you may want to let them know about that. Or just put it on your Facebook wall and maybe they'll find it if you want to be passive aggressive. From RT, not so very good news. Obesity rates tripled in developing countries. Now, do you think this might have something to do with GMOs, food additives, fast food? That would be my guess, that the natural diets of people are being altered, and it's triggering obesity. And I'm going to dwell on that a little bit, just the idea of people not being healthy because of the food they eat. From activist post, how government allows dangerous food additives like MSG to stay in our food. And these articles also, in the same way that we need to really question what websites we're believing, whose information we're relying upon and trusting as valid, we need to scour food labels to find unhealthy ingredients and stop eating that stuff. Here is, maybe we can trigger something positive in the lives of others, because according to a study, peer pressure dictates our eating habits. And this is from Suzanne Posel, Daily Headline News. Who are you around? What are they eating? And can you maybe be the one to influence them? And, just talk with some knowledge about food additives, GMOs, other issues with food, organic food, Roundup, how toxic it is for the soil and for the water tables. And just, if you can, become well versed in this information and begin to be the one who is applying the peer pressure in a positive light. Conscious Life News has an article, GMO and Natural Food Fight, Treacherous Terrain. Yeah, it is treacherous terrain. It's going to become even more treacherous. That's why we have to really question everything, know what we're doing when we choose different foods. And, the easiest way to have safe food is to buy locally from a farmer is committed to organics. Maybe even visit his farm. If buying milk from somewhere, maybe visit the farm that the milk is coming from. See what the condition of the herds is. It's very important, if you're drinking raw milk, that it come from healthy cows. So the more we know, the better off we are, the less we put our brains on autopilot. I know it's great to put your brain on autopilot and focus on, happy, shiny things. But we just can't rely on the world around us to permit us to do that. It's just not that safe right now. So we need to stay awake and alert and vigilant. And what's happening here, the ongoing David versus Goliath battle, the large food producers, the multinational food corporations, are petitioning the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to allow companies to continue to label or market products that contain genetically modified organisms as natural. So see, you can buy something that has a label that says natural, and it can have GMOs in it, as the law stands now. So keep your eyes and ears open, and again, the peer pressure thing, let people know what's going on. Tell people, hey, the obesity rate is way up in developing nations because they're eating what we're eating, and we're obese. So do everything we can to resist this, basically toxic food. And one rather positive development, maybe, I don't know. Cheerios drops genetically modified ingredients. Now, I've read in other places, this is from the Daily Paul, I've seen other headlines that say that in some Cheerios. So it's still crucial to, I'm not saying go out and buy Cheerios. Hey, there are some organic brands of cereals that are similar to Cheerios, and I would, for the time being, stick with them, because I somehow don't think that General Mills is wholeheartedly committed to giving you completely healthy and safe foods. So, you might want to keep reading their labels for a little while. And for the good news of the day, I have selected this RT article, Amid Energy Crisis, Britons Turn to Self-Powering Gym. Yeah, they've connected the workout machines at the gym to something that generates electricity. So how great is that? Now, they can't completely power the gym from these machines, but they're capturing some energy that would have otherwise been lost, this kinetic energy. Why not have it go somewhere, right? And this is only one of the kinds of, natural, safe, clean energy that really are out there all around us, magnetic fields of the earth, and there are all kinds of ways to safely and cleanly generate electricity. And supposedly some of the very ancient peoples, like the Egyptians, were even aware of them. So with that, thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.